The 2015 Academy Awards are just around the corner, and so to help with your Oscar ballot gambling addiction, we have WTOP Entertainment Editor Jason Fraley in the house. Jason, thanks for coming back on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. This is a busy week, right? This is the week. This is our Super Bowl.
It is our Super Bowl. This is like when I
I'm a huge football fan too, so they're about on par. But you know,
for me, this is my Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl to me, it's all
even
movies.
with the goal line stand with Marshawn Lynch, man, I think this is going to be Best Picture is going to be tight like that. I think it's going to come down to the goal line, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. So the way that we're going to do this today, we're going to hammer out the majors, right? So, and then from there, we'll just kind of give people a little bit of options that they probably should choose for the minor, awards. But then at the same time, you gotta do a little bit of work on your own.
Do your homework.
Exactly.
No, that's what we're here for, though.
That's true.
Right.
All right, so let's do it. Let's geek out. So Best Actor in a Supporting Role, we have Robert Duvall for The Judge, Ethan Hawke for Boyhood, Edward Norton for Birdman, Mark Ruffalo for Foxcatcher, and J.K. Simmons for Whiplash.
I got scared when he said his name.
I know. Is he coming in?
I hope not. Better pick him.
Exactly. All right, so it was a pretty good year for Best Actors. When you say.
Honestly, that supporting actor category, as you're reading those, man, every one of them is deserving. I mean, I think any other year, if J.K. Simmons wasn't in the picture, I think that Ed Norton could have easily won for Birdman, and Ethan Hawke, an amazing performance for Boyhood, a 12-year performance. If you think about it, Denzel Washington and him were in Training Day in 2001, and right after that, he started working on Boyhood. That's insane to me. So what a commitment over time. But I think this is J.K. Simmons. This is a lock. Put it as a lock in your ballot, because he's been picking up all the awards along the way. Right. And plus, like you were saying, I think everyone will be too scared not to vote for him because he's intense in that role.
Exactly. Last night, I went and saw Whiplash on the big screen, and again, it's the same thing. J.K. Simmons absolutely just is an atmosphere changer in that role. I mean, anytime he steps on the screen, it's his scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, as he said, without Miles Teller, he wouldn't be, his character, Terrence Fletcher, wouldn't actually be so good. But he murdered it. He killed it.
Yeah, he reminds me of R. Lee Ermey in Full Metal Jacket. Absolutely. It's sort of that intense drill instructor that, gets you further than you think you could go, but in the end you're wondering, was that really moral?
Right, exactly. But that end is just amazing. I went and I saw it at the AMC Lowe's Shirlington, so it's not like the huge amphitheater. It's more of like a theater for, cinephiles, and just the collective, gasps when he was on the screen, the nervous laughter.
I hope I don't drop my popcorn like we said last time. Seriously.
Exactly. It was a great performance. All right, so as you said, Ethan Hawke definitely did an awesome job. I thought Robert Duvall did a great job in The Judge. Sometimes he does hit that, grumpy old man kind of performance, but I think that his performance in The Judge was definitely layered. And I just love seeing him and Iron Man's chemistry.
Downey Jr., yeah.
Exactly, he's Iron Man from now on. But their chemistry on screen and their arc, as they start out and they really just can't stand each other, but finding that mutual respect and love.
Absolutely. Some theaters around the country are pairing. I saw they're pairing The Judge with Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird, since it was Duvall's first when he was Boo Radley in that.
Wow.
And they were since they're both courtroom dramas, they've been pairing those. So I think The Judge maybe will get a little more exposure with a little of that. But this is J.K. Simmons' year.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So what about Ruffalo and Foxcatcher?
I thought he was the best of the three.
Right.
I thought he was my favorite of Channing Tatum and Steve Carell and Ruffalo. It actually, if you don't know he's in the movie, it might take you a few seconds to recognize him because he's balding, he's got the facial hair, but as that brother role, I think he's vital to the movie. In case people haven't seen it, we don't want to give away the plot, but the brother relationship is vital to the movie. And Mark Ruffalo in real life, when I interviewed the director Bennett Miller, said that Mark Ruffalo's brother in real life passed away, and that they only talked about that once together, director, actor, in preparing for the role, but that he knew that he could tell when he was shooting that when Ruffalo was tapping into that inner story.
Wow.
So yeah, there's your scoop.
Jason Fraley comes on the show and just gives us all this insight.
But he's not going to win, unfortunately, J.K. Simmons. But I thought Ruffalo was great. I thought he could win one in any other year.
Right, definitely. And I agree with you. I honestly, when I saw the posters, because at the same time, Channing Tatum is kind of like really the forefront of all this, and Steve Carell as well. So when I looked at the poster, I was like, who is that third guy?
Right.
And it kind of reminds me of, oh man, what's the performance?
What movie?
Al Pacino and I can't think.
Which movie we got?
It's one of my favorites, and it's not Scarface, but it's similar. Carlito's Way. Okay.
Carlito's Way.
Woo, brain fart. Okay, so in Carlito's Way with our lawyer friend, who actually shaved his head a little bit, to give that balding look and all that kind of stuff. It's just like a total transformation. That is horrible that I had that brain fart, but that's okay.
There's so many Pacino movies. I was like, is he going Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, The Godfather? Where are we going here?
Which one are we doing? But yeah, it's like a total transformation physically, as well as I felt like, he's really good at kind of playing that everyday guy and like the nice guy next door. But I think there was something about this that like he really embodied, to where you just felt like he just walked off of like in real life and onto the screen. Like this is just the guy, So I thought for a biopic, he really did a great job of like representing his character. So
the best Ruffalo scene to me in Foxcatcher is early on when him and Channing Tatum are doing that brotherly grappling. It's like they're doing their warm-ups.
Right.
It was almost like a poetic little dance if you go back and watch it.
Right.
I thought he did a great job.
All right. So moving along, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, we have Patricia Arquette for Boyhood, Laura Dern in Wild, Keira Knightley, The Imitation Game, Emma Stone in Birdman, and Meryl Streep, Into the Woods.
Gotcha. I think that this one, unlike supporting actor, I think this one's a little more clear-cut. Although several great performances in there. I think it looks like Patricia Arquette is also going to be a lock just based on all the other award shows, SAG and the Golden Globes. So I think it'll go to her.
Yeah, I totally agree. Patricia Arquette, I mean, again, like you said, holding down a 12-year performance cannot be an easy task, because in the meantime, they're still...
Anything but.
yeah. They're still doing other roles, other performances, but then you have to come back to this character. And then maybe that would be easy in year 2 or 3, but by year 11, 12, but to see that growth and arc and the maturation of the character, I just thought it was an amazing performance.
And I think the reason that she's getting a lot of love, Ethan Hawke, to me, was my favorite, watching the dad grow from an irresponsible, kind of independent guy to becoming a, minivan driving father. But I think the reason that Patricia Arquette's getting honored so much is because literally she's carrying this movie for most of it, because she, there's child actors on the screen, L.R. Coltrane, and then Lorelai Linklater, the director's real life daughter.
Right.
They're on screen as little child actors, and if you don't have that anchor of the mother role with Patricia Arquette, the movie just falls flat. And then even then, once the child actors grow up and they're more capable teenage actors, she's still killing it in her role. That scene when he's about to go off to college, actually it's her final scene, Patricia's final scene, when L.R. Coltrane's getting ready to go off to college, and she's sitting at the table and says, "This is the worst day of my life." And he's like, "What's wrong, Mom?" And she goes, "I realize my life is just a series of these events. You're born, you graduate college, and then you leave me." And she says, "I just thought there'd be more than this." And she's crying in the kitchen, and that's her final scene. And I think that final surge, our final glimpse of her compels her to win it.
Right, exactly. And what you're talking about, which also the movie encompasses, it reminds me of that John Mayer song. I think it's called Vultures. And he talks about how being on this train of life, and in the beginning of the song, he's just like, "Stop this train, I want to get off." But by the end of it, it's like, I'm on a train, I want to keep doing this. And you're right, she sets that up and kind of summarizes the film so well in regard to life is, train, and we have different stops along the way where we learn things, we bring new people into our lives, people get off, things like that, until, we're at the end of life. And so I just thought that, her performance, like you said, is just amazing. Let's talk about some of the other people: Laura Dern, Keira Knightley, Emma Stone, Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep, I'm sorry, but she holds down any role that she's in. Like, she's just the queen, as some people would say. But I don't know about this in, nomination.
Yeah, I feel like Meryl just gets in every year because she's Meryl. And,
right.
I mean, arguably the greatest actress of all time, has won a million. So, I mean, all more power to her.
Yeah.
But in this case, I would rather see any of the other four get it than this role. Into the Woods. Because Emma Stone is so good in Birdman.
That's exactly who I was going to.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my backup pick if you had to. I don't think it's going to be. I think Patricia Arquette has it on lockdown. But I thought Emma Stone as Michael Keaton's daughter is that pivotal father-daughter relationship that carries the movie.
Right.
So I think she is deserving of it. Probably won't get it. Laura Dern in Wild, I thought, was really good. I mean, she was, I've talked about how I really like that movie a lot. And she's the key to Reese Witherspoon's whole backstory, and it's the director of Dallas Buyers Club, and he has all these cool acid flashback type things to Laura Dern and the relationship she had with Reese. So I could see how she's deserving too, but again, I think it'll be Arquette. And who's the other? Oh, Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
She's she does some heavy lifting too with Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, in Imitation Game, he's got these deep, dark secrets, and she loves him in spite of realizing that he comes out to be gay. And we can say that now because it's been out long enough, right?
Right, and not only that, it's a biopic, but at the same time, I don't know, Keira Knightley was on the screen, and she definitely did a great job in her role, but I don't know if it was. I feel almost like because she was the only woman in that ensemble that, she got the nomination. Right. Now, maybe it's just a year where, we don't have as many supporting roles for women. But, I thought the performance was good, but, it wasn't great. It wasn't like Emma Stone in Birdman, you're swept away,
I think it'll be Arquette, Stone, Dern, Knightley, Streep.
Yeah. Exactly. I think you're right. All right, so I think we've covered that.
But good on Emma Stone. And she's in the Spider-Man movies with a lot of those guys. Ed Norton was the Hulk, and then Michael Keaton was
that is
Batman.
True.
And they cast a lot of other superhero actors, which I thought was cool.
I never really thought about all that. You're right. You're right. It was like a reunion on
exactly.
I guess it wouldn't be Avengers Assemble, but
close enough.
Yeah,
Hollywood
exactly.
Assemble.
Exactly. Nice. All right. Let's go into. Let's stay with the women. Best Actress in a Leading Role. We have Marion Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night. Felicity Jones, The Theory of Everything. Julianne Moore, Still Alice. Rosamund Pike, Gone Girl. And Reese Witherspoon for Wild. I think hands down it's going to go to Julianne Moore for Still Alice. Her performance is just breathtaking, and I think her choices are original. I feel like we've seen women in a leading role in which a character has some kind of a disease. But for this one, I just feel like overall we totally watched her just decay, on screen. But because she was such an intelligent, professor and linguist, you can see where it's almost like doggy paddling, trying to survive.
Barely treading water.
But the disease is taking over. Yeah. And I think that is what really resonates. And that's what makes it so real, and that's what makes, her the one to get it this year.
Yeah, and is there any more tragic, devastating disease than Alzheimer's? That has to be the absolute worst, and I thought that movie and her performance really captured that. The scene where she can't even, she's in her own house and she can't even remember where the bathroom is. It's just it's just heartbreaking. You wish you could jump into Alec Baldwin's skin and help her,
Exactly.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. But in the end, it's kind of a life affirming movie. It's not, I mean, yeah, it ends, on a sad note, as you might expect, but it's still life-affirming. It's, she has a couple speeches in there where she says, I'm going to get busy living, not dying, more or less, on Shawshank line. But, so I think it's one of those performances that it's the right role at the right time for her to win. You could say it's kind of her career Oscar because she's never won before. That's why she's cleaning up at all the other awards. I mean, you could have given it to her for, her pill-popping addict in Magnolia back in '99, or The Kids Are All Right, or, any role. I mean, I thought she was really good as Sarah Palin in Game Change, the HBO movie, too.
Right.
But she's just knocked it out of the park so many times that I think this is the time. Although, let's see, who else was on the list? I mean, I thought Reese was great, but she's already won with Walk the Line. So I think in the weird way of Oscars doing everything, they kind of cancel that out and say it's Moore's turn.
Right.
And Rosamund Pike, I thought was still the most, 20 years from now, you're going to remember her in terms of what shocked you the most and stays in your mind. It's going to be like when we look back at 1987, and we're like, I don't remember who won, but Glenn Close was terrifying in Fatal Attraction, you know what I mean? So even though she's not going to win, that's how we're going to remember Pike. So in a way, it could be like, come on, Oscar, let's award the one we're going to remember with Pike, but it's going to be Julianne Moore.
We know that it's politics, and we know that a lot of times the Academy votes, like you said, based on, who has more time in our industry and who has been doing this for years and just hasn't gotten it.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Exactly. But at the same time, Julianne Moore does deserve it.
Absolutely.
But Rosamund Pike, like you said, she's such a close second. Definitely one of the most memorable lead actress performances of 2014.
Sure.
And as we said before, just the way that she plays 2 or 3 different roles in one
She's
film.
acting in that,
Exactly. It's just amazing. So I really look forward to seeing more from Rosamund Pike just based off of that.
Sure.
Felicity Jones, the theory of everything, I think she did a great job.
Similar to the Keira Knightley thing.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I think that standing next to the man that, I think the story of Stephen Hawking and his wife in general, that relationship that you see when Val's sicker or richer and poorer, sickness and health, and you see from health to sickness and sticking together. That is an amazing story. But
whether they're married or divorced or whatever, she stays with him. That bond. It's interesting, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that kind of is more what's more intriguing. But like we said with Knightley, it's not necessarily blown away. Marion Cotillard, oh my goodness! I saw 2 Days, One Night at the Middleburg Film Festival, and it was just
nice.
I was blown away. Yeah, and so it's funny because when we saw it, it kind of got cut off at a certain point in the film where it really did look like the movie could have been over, but it actually had a little bit more time.
Sopranos? What is going on? No Country for Old Men? Cut to black? Okay.
Right. But
is there something wrong with the projector or something?
I think so. Yeah. Nonetheless, I got to see all of it later. And I was just blown away at both times.
Sure.
It's just amazing. Her performance is so natural, and it just seems like an everyday person. And I know the directors usually choose unknowns for the films, and so I think she just fit in. You wouldn't know that she's Dior model or anything like that. So she did an excellent job.
And I remember when the nominees were announced, a lot of people that was the one that surprised a lot of people. And there were so many people saying, oh man, Jennifer Aniston got gypped.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. No, Jennifer Cake did not deserve to be in good on Jennifer to do a serious role and everything, but I was totally fine with this because, she's done so many great roles. I think she won for La Vie en Rose a couple years back, so that's probably why she won't win this year too. Plus it's Julianne Moore's year.
Yeah.
But what was the other one recently? Rust and Bone. I think she was in that. She always brings it.
Right, she definitely does.
And Dark Knight Rises was in that too, remember?
Oh my goodness,
remember that one? The twist? Yeah.
Right.
So she can do the blockbuster thing too.
She can. She's definitely a well-rounded actress, and I look forward to seeing more from her as well. All right, moving right along, we have Best Actor in a Leading Role. We have Steve Carell for Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game, Michael Keaton, Birdman, and Eddie Redmayne, The Theory of Everything. Jason, who do you think is going to take it?
This is where it gets tricky. All right, so supporting actress, supporting actor, and leading actress, I think, are all locks, right? We know it's J.K. Simmons, Patricia Arquette, and Julianne Moore.
Right.
This one is, if you're following the award season, it's going back and forth, and it's impossible to predict. All right, so at the Globes, Eddie Redmayne wins Best Actor Drama, while Keaton wins Best Actor Comedy.
Right.
And then since then, it's like they've been just trading back and forth between SAG and Critics' Choice and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, in this category, and then you have Bradley Cooper with American Sniper that's really charging on hard and, you know, grossing all this money at the box office. And he gives regardless of what you think of the movie, I really liked it. Some people really didn't. But, I mean, regardless of where you fall, I mean, you have to say his performance was amazing. He gets the PTSD thing. And that scene where we're on his face and you're hearing bombs going off, and then we come around and it's just a blank TV he's staring at. It's like Travis Bickle or something. But... yeah, man, this one's tough for me. I think, let me break it down with a will win, should win, could win. How about that?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to say Bradley Cooper could win. Maybe the other two split the vote and he slides in there, and that's a big surprise. He's been nominated a couple times in recent years with Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle with David O. Russell, and now he's proven he can do it with a different director. With Clint Eastwood, and in a really more dramatic role. Those other ones were kind of comedy/dramas, and he's really funny in some parts of American Hustle and stuff. But so he'll be my could win. I think my should win, I'm going to say Michael Keaton. I think this is his year, but I think Eddie Redmayne will win. I feel like it's starting to break that way. But this is a total just throwing up in the air. Oh, I hope it's Michael Keaton.
Jason,
I really hope it's Michael Keaton.
People are looking at their computer screen, TV screen, listening to the podcast right now, and are like, Jason, you messed me up.
I'm sorry if I'm wrong, because this one is the one that could go either way. I'm hoping it's Michael Keaton. Something tells me it's starting to break the other way. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just a bad hunch I have. And I say bad because I really want Keaton to beat Redmayne in this.
And
I think this is his time in history, sort of like Mickey Rourke with The Wrestler, and all of a sudden Redmayne's going to do the Sean Penn and beat him. That's what I'm worried about.
But I agree with you. I mean, I do think that Michael Keaton should win, and, you know, I don't know if Eddie Redmayne will win. You know, this could be a Norbit, you know, because I don't know if you saw Jupiter Ascending, but Eddie Redmayne was in it, and oh my goodness, it was the
that's a good point.
He should get a Razzie.
Point. Absolutely.
Exactly. So
I hated that movie. Channing Tatum, Mila Kunis, and Eddie Redmayne. Oh yes, here's hoping the Oscar voters saw that.
Exactly.
And we'll give the push to Michael Keaton.
So to explain what a Norbit is, so Eddie Murphy was up for Best Supporting Actor for Dreamgirls, and at the same time, Norbit came out, and that totally knocked him out when he was like a sure shot for it. In the same way, like Eddie Redmayne, like Stephen Hawking, he goes from, you know, healthy, young, vibrant man to, you know, unfortunately this disease strikes him, and he's still vibrant, but his body is just totally, I mean, if you just watch that movie on fast forward, it's amazing the transformation he had. So yeah, I could definitely see how it could go to him, but at the same time, I feel like talking about politics and how things go, it could be the Norbit factor, or it could just be it's Michael Keaton's time.
I totally forgot about the Jupiter Ascending thing. That was literally just came out last Friday, and it got panned so bad, and he wasn't even good in it. I thought he really overacted and got a high pitch, and then
he was deplorable.
Yeah, I did too. So yeah, Oscar voters, since we got two here, go Keaton. That's a good point. It's so tight on my end. I don't even know, man. It's Eddie Redmayne picked up a couple of the big ones recently, and it was making me really frustrated because I think this should be Keaton's year.
Yeah, we'll see. And now I did notice.
Let's go Keaton.
We're team
Put
Keaton.
that on your ballot.
We're team Keaton.
All right. Because I at least want him to win. You think he will, and it's so close. Go Keaton.
Yeah. All right. So the one person I noticed you didn't even mention, and I didn't really think should be mentioned, is Steve Carell, because. While he was solid in the role, I don't think that he was mesmerizing, and I think that the props department and the makeup, you know, just kind of helped. And I think sometimes when you can't see the actor anymore because of
it's the Charlize Theron monster.
Exactly.
If you over change your appearance and do the ugly thing, and sometimes people really like. I mean, it was a good performance. I just didn't even think it was really a lead performance. I thought Channing Tatum was the lead. That's why I thought it was interesting. I thought he'd be up for supporting, but maybe that category was too jam-packed. But
yeah. So yeah, Foxcatcher, Steve Carell. I mean, I'm happy that people are
I'm glad he got
noticing. Yeah, like because he has some great acting chops. That's no question.
The Way Back.
Yeah.
And Crazy
Yes,
Stupid
that's what
Love.
I was
He's
about
done
to
a
say.
bunch of different cool. Little Miss Sunshine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's great, but I do think that he's far outmatched in this year, definitely with the other four. And like you said, I agree with Bradley Cooper. I mean, he definitely takes that whole film, puts it on his back, and I mean, I think he just does a great job in taking on that character and just making him human and real, and I think that's why it's done so well for so long in theaters.
And what I didn't realize until I interviewed the author, I interviewed Bradley Cooper too, but I also interviewed the author of the book, American Sniper, and he said that it was Bradley Cooper who has been pushing since day one to do it. That Bradley Cooper called up Chris Kyle, the American Sniper, and said, I want to do this movie, and only because he had such a good track record of doing stuff with the USO and seeing the troops and visiting him at Walter Reed. Like when Silver Linings dealt with mental health, he went to Walter Reed.
Gotcha.
And so it was only because of that Chris Kyle agreed to let him do it, except he said, you're a little too pretty to play me. I'm going to have to tie you to my truck and drag you around on the back and dirty you up a little. That's what he said.
Nice.
But I think that's why we believe the role is because I think he really, from the get-go, before it was even a movie, wanted to do that part.
Right.
But I think the one that's getting lost out, which any other year I think should have won, was Cumberbatch. He's so good in that role.
That is true.
How is he getting left out? But I think it's
true.
just when you go up against all the Titans. You know?
I think you could have switched out Cumberbatch and put in, or switch out Carell, put in Cumberbatch.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. In regard to Best Director, we have Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel, Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, and Morton Tildum for The Imitation Game. I'm gonna go with Richard Linklater for Boyhood. This is, I guess, man, I could win.
Yeah, this is hard. These last three are like hard.
Oh man, I mean, I don't think Foxcatcher and Imitation Game are really in the conversation, but Boyhood, Birdman, Grand Budapest is in the conversation. Could win would be Wes Anderson. Maybe should win is Alejandro González Iñárritu, but for me, will win is Boyhood as Richard Linklater, and I think that it's deservingly so. I mean, to hold this down for 12 years, the direction as a director to envision how you want this to come across and to stick to that. Because again, like we said, for the actors, they're going off, they're doing other films. Linklater is doing other films, and not only that, he's doing like his trilogy.
Yeah, the Before Sunrise.
Exactly. So like, how do you keep all these things
and
in your head?
The School of Rock and all this other stuff that's just completely different,
right?
And then you return to that. It's mind blowing.
Exactly.
The vision, and we both put that as our #1 movie of the year.
Right.
Whenever we came here, and then Birdman was a close second for me. What was yours? Was Selma. And
mine was
Birdman.
Selma, and then exactly.
I would totally be cool with Richard Linklater winning it. Just for the sake of being different, I'm going to go with Alejandro González Iñárritu.
Nice.
Because I honestly, it could go Linklater, obviously, but I just think that Iñárritu is the deserving one here this year. I mean, you said it was your should win, but I'm just going to make that my pick. Because, man, to do that, the illusion of a one long single take the entire movie blew me away.
Right.
You're in his dressing room, and then you're in the hallways, then you're on the catwalk, then you're down on the theater, and then you're back out in the streets of Times Square, then you're in the bar with the critic, and then you're back in, and it's just a whirlwind of a cinematic experience, if you want to talk about the cinematic language.
Right.
And this is where he's working with the cinematographer of Gravity, who I think will win too, Emmanuel Lubezki for cinematography, to create these long takes. And I feel like that last year that combo paid off for Gravity because the cinematographer Lubezki and the director Alfonso Cuarón both won for Gravity doing those long single takes. And I think I'm going to go with a repeat of sorts this year. I think Iñárritu will make it back-to-back directors hailing from Mexico to win the Best Director award.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I do agree with you in part that Iñárritu what he does is he allows us to get into Michael Keaton's head, right? And as a visual medium, it's difficult for us to actually be in someone's head. Now, granted, we can do a voiceover and we can hear it, but we don't always get sucked in visually to seeing that. And I think by creating this illusion of a single take, you're able to visually also be in his head. So we have his voiceover, but then visually, like, we're whipping around in the dressing room, and at one point, you know, it's just him by himself. Then suddenly, like, it's people interviewing him. And so it's just that maddening, like, we don't know where we are and when we are, but we, as an audience, we're smart enough to, like, jump it forward in time with him. And I think that takes a lot. I mean, this is tough, Jason. Like,
it's really tough.
That's why we're probably splitting the vote. Like, I feel like I
could go either way.
Exactly. I feel like I'm kind of going with the safe bet, but like
it's one of those where Oscar night, if you're watching, I don't know how your Oscar pool is gonna go, but if you're watching, keep an eye on like Screenplay, because if Linklater gets that, it could help, you know, determine how it goes. Even then, this is so tough. Because it's almost going to be like you need to watch it in reverse. But sorry, you can't do it. This isn't Memento. But watch the Oscar thing in reverse, because it's almost, I have a feeling it's going to split with who wins Best Picture and who wins Best Director. I think that's how they're going to split it up. They'll give it to one and not the other. But unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that in your pool. But you know, maybe once you see who wins Director, then you'll maybe predict who's going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
I think it's going to divide up like that, but we'll see.
We shall see. I mean, this is difficult. I was talking with Tim Gordon the other day, and he felt like, I mean, he definitely feels like, hey, this is who it's going to be no matter what. But I told him, I was like, you know, once these nominations came out, there's some categories that I'm sure of, but like a category like this is just...
That's why I think this year is going to be awesome, because in past years, you pretty much knew how things were breaking. I mean, last year, I think everybody knew that 12 Years a Slave was gonna win.
Right.
I mean, I was a huge fan of American Hustle too, but everyone it was totally breaking that way. The previous year, Argo it was a dark horse, but it had done its dark horse run and won a bunch, so you still kind of predicted that. This year, I think it's a total toss-up where it could be Boyhood or Birdman in Best Picture. And I guess we're transitioning to that category.
Yeah, exactly. So, did you have something else?
No, I'm just saying it. That's why I think this year is going to be so fascinating to watch, because in the actor, director, and picture categories, it could go either way, and deservingly either way. I don't think it's necessarily an upset. You know? I don't think it's like Crash beating Brokeback type thing where there's outrage. I think people will be fine either way.
Exactly.
At least I would be.
But I will say this, depending on how things go, either it's going to confirm the, you know, safe bets. Right? And just like, okay, this is how the Oscars are.
The other award show formula.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's going to say, hey, maybe the Academy is kind of waking up. Who knows? We'll see. All right, so the reason that we stayed to the end of the telecast is the Best Picture.
And the end of this Picture Lock show.
Exactly. Hurry up, get to it, get to it. Somebody's like writing down there, you know, right before they turn in their $5.
And then in the actor and director categories, now they're scribbling out everything because we've gone back and forth on it. It's so hard.
Exactly. All right, I got a funny story. I'll tell it later. Anyways, Best Picture, we got American Sniper, Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. I think we kind of already said, but I'll say I think it's going to go to Boyhood. We've talked about it on the show before, just 12 years. And it doesn't, okay, so take away the quote-unquote gimmick of it being filmed over 12 years. It is still a solid film.
Coming of age story.
Exactly, in which you can look at it and you can see aspects of yourself in the character, in the characters. It doesn't matter like race, age, or whatever. Like you see part of your family in their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those small moments of just graduating high school and how everyone gets together to celebrate and, you know, be proud of, you know, their son, their nephew, whatever the case may be. So there's so many relatable moments, and just as a film, just to watch this child grow up. Like I said, I felt like I'm really watching a documentary. I mean, it just, it just felt like, wow, this is an incredible film. So yeah, that was definitely my choice for, Best Picture.
It is for me too, but very hesitantly. Like it is the last, in a while. Let's think it's a visual here. For a while, I mean, Boyhood and Birdman were always my 1A and 1B at the end of the year. As soon as I saw Birdman, actually, I was like, well, those are easily 1A and 1B, and I don't really even know which one's A and B, but those are clearly my two favorites of the year that we'll be talking about for decades. But if we're thinking visually, it's almost as if all my chips were on Boyhood at the beginning of awards season. It wins at the Globes, and I think at the Critics' Choice maybe. But slowly we've watched the chips fall off to Birdman.
Exactly.
At SAG, it won, but I think that might be because their top prize is Best Ensemble. SAG is an actors category, and as an ensemble, it was a bit of a deeper bench than Boyhood. Although a great ensemble too. And then Birdman also won at the Producers Guild of America and at the Directors Guild. So that's why a lot of people are hesitant to call this one, because it could easily be Birdman too. So it's one of those, like, the chips have been coming off, but I think just enough will be left for Boyhood. I'm hoping, because I think this is the long-term one that we're gonna look back and remember. I mean, last year it was 12 Years a Slave, and this year it's 12 Years of Film.
I like what you did there, Jason. All right, but I think you're right. I mean, at the same time, Boyhood is nominated for 6 awards, and then Birdman is nominated for 9, tied with Grand Budapest. And so, like you said, it does kind of have that momentum behind it. But I do think, like you're saying, that when we're gonna, for 2014 or the film that we put in the AFI, like, it should be Boyhood.
You
like,
put it in the vault for all time. Yeah.
Exactly, because 100 years from now, when people are watching movies in their eyes, like,
it's true.
Boyhood really just is a snapshot of a time, like 12 years, where not only is it, like we said, a coming of age story, but it also kind of is a time capsule for what was going on through each of those years. So yeah, I think overall, but like, if it had been another year, then definitely let's give it to Birdman.
Absolutely. And so maybe the way I think it'll break down is that voters, because you're checking your ballot, you got to remember, put yourself in the mind of a voter. You want to honor what's great, but at the same, it's so many are close that you kind of try to spread the love a little bit. So as you're checking, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to give Inarritu for director, and that'll be my Birdman or Michael Keaton or whatever.
Right.
But then Best Picture will be Boyhood. I feel like they're gonna, those movies are so tight and both so great and all-timers in my mind that I think they're gonna try to spread it out that way. And then Grand Budapest will probably get, Screenplay or something like that.
Yeah. So just really quickly, I mean, in regard to, the other films, films that stood out, I think we nailed this in the other episode. Whiplash is definitely a standout for me, at least. Interstellar as a movie-going experience, definitely stand out. American Sniper, I definitely think it's interesting, the conversations at the water cooler that you can have about America and our role in all these different wars, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's definitely some solid films, but I think the creme de la creme, what rises to the top is obviously, well, in my opinion, Birdman and Boyhood.
Boyhood, exactly. And although I have to say, it's disappointing to me. I don't think it would have won Best Picture and might have gotten knocked out of a lot of the categories anyway, but I would have loved to see Selma more represented. Like, I know it's up for Best Picture, but no one's talking about it as a contender. And maybe I think it's probably the LBJ stuff really hurt it in the end, that, it seemed to be an inaccurate portrayal, and which is a shame, because otherwise it's so well directed. I was hoping DuVernay would get nominated.
Oh my
goodness. I thought the biggest one to me was that Oyelowo didn't get in there. I mean, I thought he was better than Steve Carell.
Right.
Maybe put Carell in the supporting actor or something. But in the end, that's just a lot of a wish list type thing. I mean, I think in the end it's the Boyhood Birdman year. It really is. So in that sense, I think they got it right. And as we've seen, this is a tricky one to call this year.
Right.
There's no easy answer. But Hopefully that helped you guys with your Oscar ballots.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's just hit up some of these while we still got a little bit more time.
Sure.
Let's hit up some of the smaller ones.
The geeking out categories, if you will.
Exactly. So best writing, original screenplay, we got Birdman, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Who would you go with?
I think it should be Nightcrawler, but I don't think it will. I put Nightcrawler, it was in my top 10 movies of the year.
Right.
I thought it was amazing. Just the idea of that original concept. I mean, this is original screenplay. To me, it was highlighting a portion of life that's usually not on the screen, which is that, if it bleeds, it leads, TV news mindset. And I thought Gyllenhaal was great, and I'm surprised he's not up for actor 2. I mean, any other year he would have been in there too. So I think that should have won. I think it's probably going to go to Grand Budapest. If I had to guess, I think Wes Anderson finally gets his.
Right.
Could be Linklater.
Right.
I mean, I think he's picked up a couple screenplay awards so far this season. But I think this is where, like last year it was Her, Spike Jonze for Her. It's like, it's screenplays a lot of the time, it's like, if the one that's not going to win the main one, they give him the table scraps.
Right.
That shouldn't be. That's even too harsh because screenplay is it. Like that, if you don't have a good script.
Exactly. Yeah, the screenplay is the spine of your film. And so I agree with you, I think it'll go to the Grand Budapest Hotel, and it's kind of off that same factor that, hey, Boyhood, Birdman, all those guys are going to rack up in the larger categories. So I agree with that. Let's see, Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay. We have American Sniper, The Imitation Game, Inherent Vice, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash.
Ooh. See, I think it could be, I'm going to guess, but this is also shaky. I'm going to guess Imitation Game or Whiplash. But Whiplash to me seems, that's like a dark horse. Like I would love if it won, but I don't think it will be because I think it's more in the editing and the acting in that movie and the directing. But it's possible. Some people are predicting it. I think I'm gonna just go with The Imitation Game. I think this is the category where it gets honored. Gone Girl, was the probably book phenomenon that became a movie this year. But I think there's enough people that hated on how it ended that I think maybe would take away from it. So let's go Imitation Game. I think this is where it gets honored because we already said it's all the other reasons it's not going to win the other one. So I'm going to give it for Adapted.
Okay. All right. You know what? I don't know. I mean, I going with my gut. Like if I'm putting money on this, I'm going to say The Imitation Game. But I do feel like American Sniper could have snuck in there with all of the momentum it had behind it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I do think that the adaptation from the book to the screen, it felt authentic. It felt real. Whiplash, I was kind of surprised you said that because although we both loved it and it was my Desert Island movie of the year, I don't know if it's getting any love this year,
But you know what? I mean, it's such a more of a visual movie than it is what's written.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, we love the end of it, which is so much without dialogue. It's all unsaid between the playing and the emotions between Simmons and Teller. So maybe that hurts it in terms of the screenplay.
All right, 2 more. Let's just knock out Best Documentary and Best Cinematography. Best Documentary Feature, Citizen4, Finding Vivian Maier, Last Days in Vietnam, The Salt of the Earth, and Virunga. Who you go with?
Citizen4. We both put it in our top 10 in our year-end bests, and to me, it's the zeitgeist movie of the year. I mean, that's what you want out of your documentaries, right? I mean, there's a lot of great ones every year, but the one that should win the Oscar should be the one that captures something important about the time. It's a documentary of our times. And this is the privacy versus security debate that will go on that's been going on for the last 5 years and will go on for the next 10 or whatever. So the Edward Snowden documentary is of our time, and I think it's going to win. Citizen4.
Definitely. I agree with you. I don't have to say anything else. Best Cinematography, we have Birdman, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Ida, Mr. Turner, and Unbroken. I'm going to go with Birdman on this. I think, as we have already said, holding down we know as filmmakers, right, Jason, you and I, as filmmakers, when you're going from room to room in a single take, you have to light that ahead of time. It just,
unbelievable.
It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
You don't just say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and then do it.
Yeah.
You rehearse that, you tweak that, you make sure that it's gonna be perfect.
Right.
And I think that Birdman, the cinematography in that film was amazing. So that's what I'm going.
I'm gonna say it's a lock, just because. But the only thing is the same guy, Emmanuel Lubezki, won it last year. The only way it doesn't win is if some voters decide I don't want to give it to him again. But I just don't see that happening. It's such an amazing achievement of camera work,
Right.
And blocking and everything. I mean, but to me, where's the line stop between cinematographer and director in that movie? It's really hard. But I think you give an Oscar for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the collaboration right there, and that's Orson Welles, Greg Toland right there. It's hard to separate them, but they both deserve it.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, let's go with Birdman.
All right, cool. Well, Jason, this is always a good time.
Thanks.
You're always welcome on the show. How can people check out your reviews and see you?
Well, just listen to WTOP every morning. It's because we're the entertainment editor now, so we have a piece every day. It's 103.5 FM around here in the DC area. And then for everyone else, go online to WTOP.com and just click the entertainment page. We have a whole page. I'll have a different lead story every day.
Can I tell you, it's just been, I'm like a proud mother. Every time I hear you.
Things I didn't expect Kevin to say. I'm like a proud mother. All right.
I'm like, that's my boy. Every time you get on there. And honestly, Jason, ladies and gentlemen, Jason slays these reviews. Like, I think you do just an awesome job. And that's
Thank
not
you.
just like as a friend, but I just think, as a fellow critic, you hit the nail on the head most of the time. But with these reviews, and you're getting really good at the job. So I'm definitely proud of you. Congratulations. You're doing an awesome job over there.
I appreciate it, man.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dean Rogers with TheRogersReview.com, and you're watching Picture Lock.
The Fox TV network has released a small show called Empire. If you've been living under a rock, then you know that I was totally being facetious. Empire is huge, and I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons to watch Empire. Reason number 5, it's a minority-led TV show on a major network. Remember back in the day when you had Martin, Living Single, and In Living Color dominating on Fox? Something happened in the 2000s and we saw less minority-led TV on major networks. With a predominantly African-American cast, Empire has only seen increased viewership each week it's aired, from a 9.9 million premiere to just under 12 million as of the latest episode. Numbers speak in the business, and this is sure to spawn an increase in this minority-led TV. Number 4, the ratchet factor is low. Keeping it real, you have plenty of channels that you can go to on a nightly basis to see black folks fighting, cussing, and doing it all in the name of feeding their kids. The reality TV genre has done a lot to mold a generation's view of who we are, and while this is not the Cosbys, Empire does strike a good balance in representing race and culture, which is hard to do. Like it or not, it sheds light on some sides of the African-American family, like Cookie disciplining her son with a broomstick whooping he won't forget, or the image of masculinity and identity that our men have. It also does a great job of highlighting the talent and intelligence in our culture as well. Now, I will say not every situation is true in every African-American family, but what Empire strives to do is highlight truth and bring forth real characters and situations to think about. Number 3, the cast of characters. Ensemble casts are hard to build sometimes. How do you create a diverse group of characters that stand out as individuals and work together to propel a weekly show forward? As a new show produced for a mass audience, Empire does a good job of striking a balance. So the display of record mogul, crime boss, Lucius Lyon's hypermasculinity is not surprising, while on the flip side, Lucius dealing with his son's sexuality creates an opening for water cooler conversation as viewers and diversity in characters that any good show needs. While the show is built on Oscar nominees Terrence Howard and Taraji P Henson, Empire has also introduced us to fresh talent like Jussie Smollett, Trey Byers, and Brashear Y. Gray. Number 2, Taraji P Henson. Her name is Cookie. Ask about her. Taraji P Henson steals every scene she's in with plenty of laugh-out-loud moments and serious dramatic acting to match. Cookie keeps it real, and while she's a great character on the page, it takes an equally great actress to bring that character to life. Each week, while her shtick is a super confident and sassy persona, Henson's character also has subtle, beautiful character moments as she tries to bond with her sons after being locked up for 17 years and reclaim her throne after being locked up for 17 years. And number 1, it's good drama. At the end of the day, Empire is good drama, rife with conflict and entertaining. There are plenty of melodramatic, over-the-top things in the show, but at the end of the day, the storytelling is there. While you may love or not love the show, you're guaranteed that each week will add a new layer to the overall story and bring you back for more. You can catch my weekly reviews on Empire at www.picturelockshow.com and tune in on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central Time on Fox to catch new episodes. It's no secret that one of my favorite teen drama shows is Hulu's East Los High. With production for Season 3, aka East Los Trace, set to begin in the new year, I have a few predictions for the show that we all love. First off, Ceci, just say no. You have absolutely got to get out of that relationship. And Ceci, don't let those little high school girls pressure you to say yes. You're bigger than that. But we all know that an abusive relationship is just not that easy to get out of. So I definitely look forward to seeing how the writers construct her escape route, which please, she has to get out. When it comes to the lives of Camila and Gina, East Los just got real and opened a can of worms. I'm really interested to see where they go with this. Now, we're going to see tension between the two sisters, which will likely last at least half of the season until I'm assuming a big reveal that brings them back together, which should be really cool and interesting. Or they could go a different route. Surprise me, ELH writers. However, the reason I love this show so much is because it's not afraid to put the truth of the dark side of life on the screen for us to learn from. Camila dealing with sexual abuse inside of her family is something that happens in families all over the world, unfortunately. So seeing how East Los tackles this topic will be interesting. It's going to be a tightrope, but if done right, should be an amazing, uplifting, and empowering thing to see. If you have Hulu Plus, make sure you check out some of the prequel stories because it fills in a lot more of the holes that Season 2 had. There are a few characters I'd love to see more of in Season 3. Jocelyn, no question. In the pre-story section, we got to see a lot more of her, and it made her character a more three-dimensional person, which was awesome. I'd like to see more of that. More Philly, same deal. She's more than just a sexual health and wellness fact spewer. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I also watch for the actors, the actresses, whatever they're doing. And when someone is a background bomb squad dancer, she does have some of the close-ups a couple times. But when she's putting in work the way she does in the background, that's going to translate into an interesting character. That means that she is working hard when the camera is on and off her. Bring them back. Maya and Vanessa. Need I say more? Those are just some of my predictions for Season 3. Please, I'd love to hear what you say. I mean, I love the East Los High community. You guys are awesome. I love, interacting on Twitter and, on YouTube. Please, let me know what you think below in the comment section. You can find Picture Lock on Facebook and on Twitter. Don't forget to check out the website, picturelockshow.com. Hello. For movie reviews and news. This past weekend, Kingsman hit theaters in competition with a small film called 50 Shades of Grey. If you made the right decision, like I did, you went to see The Kingsman. And I must say, if Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp isn't enough to get you to go see Kingsman: The Secret Service, perhaps the smart script will. Rather than going for Get Smart or Austin Powers funny, writers Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn take aim for the difficult middle ground of a serious spy film that is self-aware. The result is a preposterous spy movie that's an exciting ride. The film starts off with an infiltration operation in which a helicopter shoots missiles into a castle, and as rubble from the explosion falls to the ground, it turns into letters for the opening credits. It's this nod to the audience that puts you at ease, but the ensuing scene is equally edgy and solemn, setting us up for a constant change of emotion throughout the film. Eggsy, played by Taron Egerton, is your classic case of a teenager growing up without a father. His mother is in an abusive relationship with a local tough guy. He's highly intelligent but pickpockets and boosts cars to get attention. And after his most recent illegal joyride gets him in police custody, Eggsy calls the number on the back of a pendant passed down to him from his deceased father. Little does Eggsy know that he's just called the Kingsmen, a super secret spy organization made of fashionably dressed gentlemen. Once Harry, Colin Firth, whose code name is Galahad, gets Eggsy out of jail, the typical hero's journey/recruitment begins. In the meantime, Valentine, our boy Samuel L. Jackson, a megalomaniac villain of sorts, is recruiting international leaders in a get down or lay down scheme. Now, what do I mean by get down or lay down? Either the leaders get down with his world domination plan, or they're held in captivity until he can hit the reset button on the world that he feels is headed for destruction. The violence in this film is as high as you would expect from the director of Kick-Ass, but at times doesn't serve the film except for shock value. Gazelle, played by Sophia Boutella, Valentine's right-hand woman with swords for legs, is the embodiment of that violence for no reason other than a cool idea or visual. Certain gags like Jackson's lisp, which is a perfect choice for one of the best wordsmiths in the business, start out funny but becomes more of a thorn in the film's side. Kingsman is exactly what you thought it would be based on the trailer. Escapist fun. Director Matthew Vaughn has created a solid film during the time that most Hollywood films are forgettable and laughable. In truth, while it too may be forgotten by the end of the year, it produces some good laughs that are worth your hard-earned cash. I give it a B-. You can check out picturelockshow.com for more movie reviews. That's all for this episode. I'd like to thank Jason Fraley for coming on the show and talking film with me. Make sure you check him out at WTOP.com and search for the entertainment page. You can find Picture Lock on Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to check out the website, picturelockshow.com, for movie reviews, news, and if you're interested in being a guest on the show. Be sure to subscribe to the mailing list on the site as well so that you can win free passes to upcoming screenings in the DMV area. Until next time, I hope you stay locked on film.